The difference between being like really good at this job and just like okay is being able to identify this type of stuff even when you're not really sure if it's valuable. How's it going? In this video, I'm going to show you 25 items that I sold in the last year on eBay. Now, my name's Sean. I'm a full-time clothing eBay reseller. I'll sell over $200,000 this year on eBay alone in the men's clothing category. These items are brands that sell all day, every day on eBay. Pockets of profit in every single one of these brands, and I'm going to try to explain to you as much as I can so you can go into your thrift stores and find some of these items. The first item on this list is a Polo Ralph Lauren. This is the vintage one. It's a short sleeve button shirt. One way I know it's vintage is the rectangle is blue with the white lettering. And also I believe this one was made in USA, which most items made in USA are usually going to be vintage, but sometimes they are not. But if you see something like this one here in the picture, it is extremely rare. You're not going to find this one very often. It's going to sell for a lot of money, and it's one of those items that if you do find it, it's best just to kind of sit and wait for all the money on this one because you're not going to come across them very often. This is a bunch of surfers on here. It's all over print. I've never seen this before. I knew it was the vintage label because it's the blue and white, and then I knew this was going to go for over $100. A lot of these shirts, you're going to find them, but it's going to be rare. You may find them at people's house, like at a garage sale or, an estate sale possibly. At the thrift stores, these are usually getting scooped up by people like me and a number of people across the country that are doing this at a high level. The next item I want to talk about is Halibros. Halibros is one of my favorites because they always sell for a lot of money, especially the pearl snaps. You can find some of the button ups, and I've even found like swim bottoms in these as well. But whenever you find the button ups, the pearl snaps that have embroideries on the chest, like these two right here, they can go for quite a bit of money, depending on what is on those embroideries. This one here, it was like a cowboy. I think they're called the surfing cowboys because he's holding a surfboard. It was kind of hard to tell when I first saw it, but doing a little more research, I was able to see which one it was, and those need to be in the title so you can get the buyer that is looking for this exact shirt. This one here had some like snail crustaceans on it, and it also sold for a lot of money, even though the color wasn't as great as the gray one that you saw before. Halibros is almost a no-brainer whenever I go to the thrift store. You're gonna be pretty confident in making some money if you find one, especially with some embroideries on it. This is a Wrangler long sleeve pearl snap, but it's the brush popper. This item it's got somewhat of a canvas type feel. I would almost equate it to like a military style material, something that has like water resistant capabilities as well as just a toughness to it. These are like color blocking stripes. This one is black and blue, extremely rare to find. I mean, a lot of times you'll find them in kind of crazy color patterns like this, but if they're good color patterns, they usually go for more money. This one also had the black snaps on it, which is a bit rare. You're not going to sell a lot of Wrangler pearl snaps for this because they are mass produced, and a lot of them have cotton polyester blends. They're thinner. Some of them are 100% cotton, but they're not this style. This one is going to be a bit special, and if you do find it, make sure to price it up high. Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson, once again, it seems like I have a lot of the more common ones that you're going to see in the thrift store, but you have to be careful with Harley Davidson. This one sold for an extremely good amount of money because it's the 3D emblem tag. Now, it's super faded on this picture, but 3D emblem is, it's going to be one of their vintage ones. I don't know exactly the era that it was made, possibly the 80s. This one here was Amarillo, Texas. Not like the best, city state to get, although Texas is a great state. With this type of shirt, you're going to look for the sleeves. If it's single stitch on the sleeve, that means it's going to be vintage. Now, if you find a more common Harley Davidson shirt, those can go for anywhere from $15 to $25 to $50. But whenever you find the vintage stuff, that can always go for a little bit more money. Even if the sleeves are cut off, you can look at the bottom hem of the shirt and see if that's single stitch. That's another indicator. Next up, we have Patagonia. Patagonia is an extremely good brand. I would almost say anything in Patagonia to pick up. But if you find the short sleeve button shirts or the long sleeve button shirts, those don't command quite as much money as the outerwear like the one in this picture. This is one of the more vintage ones. I don't really have many tips on how to tell if something's vintage in other brands. You really have to take a deep dive and see like the history, whether it's looking through sold comps or looking on the internet, just Googling like what do vintage Patagonia tags look like and try to find a good article. If it's made in the USA though, that is a good sign, as well as if it has a paper tag. That's going to be another indicator that it could be vintage. Patagonia outerwear, pants, even the swim trunks have done well for me, but the outerwear is what you're going to want to go for the most. Levi's. There's a lot of places we can start with Levi. One, you guys have probably seen this in your thrift store, probably owned a pair yourself. This is the vintage Big E denim trucker jacket. With Levi denim trucker jackets, they can range as low as like $30 all the way up to well over $1,000. It all depends on the age, the style, the pocket. You can see on this one here, it has kind of like a V under the pockets. That's going to be the type 3 jacket. It's not as valuable as some of the other ones. You're going to want the ones with the square pockets. Now, you're going to find some of these Levi denim jackets, but most of the time they're going to be new. Very rare to find one that has the orange tab or one that has the big E on it. Those are going to be some of your more older ones and some of your more valuable ones. If you do find a modern one and you can pay, let's say less than $8 on it, there is some money to be made, but typically you're going to want to find something a little bit older to command well over $100. Levi's is a great brand to resell. There are a number of jeans that do well. Right off the top of my head, the silver tab jeans, the 560s, the 527s, 501 XX. There are a lot of them out there that can sell for money. You just have to do your research and figure out which ones those are and avoid the ones that are not. I've also sold Levi flannels. They're not the most money, but they do sell as well. This trucker jacket was an excellent pickup. It was a private pickup, and I actually paid $50 for this because I knew I was going to get well over $100, maybe even $200. Carhartt is right in line with Levi's. It's great that I had them back to back. A lot of people know the logo. A lot of people love the brand. This is the blanket lined Carhartt jacket. So blanket line just means it has like that fleece gray, sometimes like plaid looking liner on it. That's going to command a lot of money. This one was torn up on the collar pretty bad. I paid $5 for this one. What I want to point out about Carhartt is anytime you find one of their bigger coats, men's or women's, definitely grab it, put it in your cart, take a look at it, make sure that you're not overpaying for it. Even if it's kind of torn up, it's going to sell. The zipper is probably one of the most important things to look out for this. They do make them really tough, but if the zipper is torn up, it could create a problem and make it a little bit less desirable. As far as Carhartt jeans, pants, I think their pants do a little bit better than their jeans. However, there's definitely money to be made all across this brand. Even the t-shirts with just the front pocket and the patch on it, you can sell those for like, a little bit of money, but Carhartt jackets are going to be the ones you want to look for to make the most money. Next up, we have Pendleton. This is an older Pendleton flannel. I know it's old because it has more of that square pocket type look to it, and there's also no buttons on the front pocket. This one sold for great money, and you can see it has like almost that pointed butterfly style collar, and that's definitely a sign of the age, as well as just the color scheme overall. Pendleton is a good brand. There are some items of Pendleton that don't do as well. I kind of equate it to like Patagonia. The Pendleton outerwear is going to be better. The wool items are going to be better. But if you find just a short sleeve button shirt or a long sleeve button shirt in Pendleton, like a non-flannel, it may not command as much money. However, if you can get it for less than $5, I think it's a pickup all day long. What my philosophy is whenever it comes to reselling is if it's sellable, I'm okay picking it up because I'm okay waiting a few months to make a little bit of money. If you do this enough times, say 10,000 times a year, you're going to be able to make a full-time living doing this. This was actually the best sale of the year for me. This is a Robert Graham limited edition Nua tags. I actually found this in my small town thrift store, and I was super surprised by it. First off, it's this paisley black and blue. It looks tremendous. It did have the tags there. I listed it high because they retail for, I believe, $598 or $498. And this one I sold for about $300. Robert Graham, they always go out of their way. I kind of equate them to Ed Hardy just because they go a little crazier with their prints. However, they're not as crazy as Ed Hardy. Robert Graham can sell in many different styles, many different sizes. If you find just a common striped Robert Graham, you can expect to get $25 to $30. If you find something a little fancier, you can expect to get about $50, even up towards to like $80. It's the all over prints, the paisleys, the limited editions that are going to get the most money. Here's Rhone. Rhone is similar to Lululemon, which I left off this list just because I didn't have a very high Lululemon sale, but Rhone is a great one. It has that same style as Lululemon where it just feels better than most materials, and you can't really explain why. It's almost like that athletic / dress pants combination here. This is Rhone commuter pants, sold for really good money. A lot of golfers will wear this type of pant because it can kind of double as activewear, but then you can also wear it in the office and get away with still looking like professional. Rhone is going to be good in a lot of different categories. A lot of the outerwear like the quarter zips are going to sell for good money. And you can find some of the t-shirts, they sell decently, not crazy amount, but they will sell because Roan is very desirable. Next up is FootJoy. FootJoy is sold all over the place. There's tons of different FootJoy golf polos. FootJoy is a golf brand. You're going to see all over print shirts sell for a lot of money. This one especially sold for a lot, and the reason being is it's one of the tour issued from an actual golfer that's on the PGA Tour. It has all these sponsors on it. You can look up these sponsors and kind of tie it to the exact golfer. That's going to get you a lot more money if you have it in the title. Whenever I found this, it was actually my best find of the year. I found loads of them all at the same thrift store. I think I paid $2.50 a piece for all of them, and I had about 60 or 70 of them, and these just sold like crazy. Really helped the numbers for this year. Here's another one. This is Scotty Cameron. Scotty Cameron is one of the Cadillac's top tier golf brands. This is on a Peter Millar summer comfort shirt, which Peter Millar is going to be good summer comfort like in its own right. If it's an all over print like this one, you're going to be able to sell it for a lot of money. But whenever you add a brand like Scotty Cameron, it's pretty much like putting Gucci or Louis Vuitton just brand on a regular item. It increases the value tenfold. It had that Scotty Cameron on the sleeve, and it also has, I believe, a Circle T on the collar. And like I said before, when you see stuff on the collar for some of these golf shirts, there's a sign that there can be some money tied to it. Last golf shirt I wanted to bring up today was Rhoback. Rhoback is a tremendous brand. Do not confuse it with Roan or anything like that. Rhoback in its own right is probably one of the top brands on this list. Without a doubt, if you find Rhoback, pick it up. I mean, I will pay a lot of money for Rhoback just because it is never not sold in my store. The long sleeve quarter zips have sold for good money. This short sleeve all over print golf shirt sold for a tremendous amount of money, like all the items on this list. But this is an item you definitely want to look out for. I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. I just want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of today's video, Jiaropack. Jiaropack is a poly mailer, bubble mailer. They're a company that has shipping supplies, but they put a nice little twist on it. You can get them in a variety of colors. This is the blue one that I think is one of the best ones. They also have greens, purples, all sorts of colors. And if you're not just using poly mailers, they also have bubble mailers. I know a lot of people like to get bubble mailers because it keeps your packages safe. I use poly mailers because I ship clothes. All the clothes on the video you're seeing right now were shipped with Jiaropack poly mailers. I think it's a huge benefit to have colored poly mailers because at the post office, they deal with hundreds and thousands of packages every day. If yours are all in this blue color, it's going to be very hard for those workers to misplace those items. Whenever everyone else uses white, yours is definitely going to stick out. And then they'll also understand that you are tied to the colored poly mailers. And then they know like, oh, you know, Sean's coming in with his mailers. Let's make sure to get those scanned in and get them on their way. You can use code Taylor10 to get 10% off your poly mailers. I use them. You should use them too. Thanks for taking a second and hearing me out, and let's get back to the video. Next up is Arc'teryx. Arc'teryx is another tremendous brand. Don't confuse Arc'teryx with Arc'teryx. Arc'teryx is like a fake Arc'teryx, and a lot of brands do this whenever they see something that is just a powerhouse in the industry. And Arc'teryx, for its outerwear, its jackets, its quarter zips, its pants, pretty much anything Arc'teryx is going to sell for a lot of money. I put Arc'teryx up there with CC Filson. That's another brand that without a doubt when I see it, I pay for it. I would even pay $20 to $30 for a piece, maybe even $50, just because I know it can command a lot of money and I know it's going to sell fast. There's a huge demand for these types of brands. If you compared Arc'teryx to Patagonia, it'd probably be similar, but Arc'teryx is going to sell for more money. Grayson is an extremely good brand as well. I put it kind of in the Rhoback category, but not quite as good. This is a Grayson cardigan. If you see items that sell well just as short sleeve polos and then you find something a little different in that brand, like a cardigan, you need to check it out and look it up. I know it may not be something you're comfortable selling or something that you've picked up before in the past. Maybe you don't even look at that section, but a lot of people like them. Grayson is a special brand, much like some of the others, and I should have mentioned this earlier, like on the Rhoback and the Roan. If you do see a company embroidery on one of these items, even Patagonia, say it says like biotech research or something like that, then you can still purchase it and sell it. Just because of the material alone, people will take that embroidery out or they'll just wear it with the embroidery on it because they don't care. This type of brand is no different. Grayson I've sold. Ralph Lauren RLX didn't make the list, but that one is another one as well that I've sold plenty of times with different logos on it. This is Faherty. For a long time, I called it Father T. I don't know why, because I can't pronounce words, but Faherty is an extremely good brand. This one is a quilted snap jacket, shacket type shirt. I've never found one like this. I usually find their flannels, and their flannels used to command a lot more money. Now, they still command a lot of money. I would put this kind of in line with Dixon. Dixon is one that I don't find very often. It's more known for its flannels, but Faherty is going to be a great one to pick up. It's very comfortable. Their flannels are a bit more lightweight and stretchy than Dixon's. However, they're both kind of in a similar category for me just because of the frequency of which I find it. Faherty is one that I'll pick up if you find like the Faherty all day shorts, they sell for a lot of money. If you find Faherty pants, button ups, anything like that, Faherty is going to sell great. This one is no exception. This is Ryan Michaels. This is a long sleeve pearl snap. Now, for a while, I thought Ryan Michaels was a women's brand for some reason. I don't know why. It's a men's name, but Ryan Michaels is a really good brand. The pearl snaps sell really good. The long sleeve button shirts don't do as well, but they'll sell for a lot of money too. Very surprised whenever I first came across this, and the only way to figure out these items is to either go on eBay, search high to low, and start filtering out $1,000 items, but go to the like $500 and less and start looking at all those items and start understanding those brands. Anything Ryan Michaels that I've picked up is sold. I've sold this with holes in it, stains on it. Many of these items, especially if they're some of the more rare ones, you can sell it with flaws and defects and still make a pretty good profit on it. This one is Ben Silver. It's the only Ben Silver piece I've ever found. I didn't know this brand, much like some of the ones I mentioned before where it was like somebody just creates a brand because, you know, maybe they just came into some money or felt like starting a clothing brand. Ben Silver was kind of in that line, but I saw that it was cashmere, and anything cashmere, even mid-tier brands, can sell for decent money. So I decided to look it up. To my surprise, Ben Silver was an extremely good brand. These retail for hundreds of dollars brand new. If you find something used that retails for like $300 to $400, you're going to be able to make a little bit of money on it. Very rare that you won't be able to make money on it. And this color is not even that great of a color, but it's sold extremely fast. Next up, we have military flyer suits. I'm going to kind of bunch in different military things here, meaning like flight jackets. This is coveralls, which is like a flight suit. But if you see a bomber jacket, anything like that you want to take a look at. I've never come across an orange one, so I knew it was probably going to be valuable. Most of the time you're going to find these in the sage green or olive green, whatever they call it, and then you're going to find a bunch of them in the beige. I think it goes like this. Orange is going to sell for the most, and then it's going to be the beige, and then it's going to be the green. Another thing people like to wear this for is for Halloween. It's not necessarily like a maintainer that's going to wear this or somebody that's in the Air Force or military, but it's going to be somebody that's just either nostalgic with it or somebody who wants to wear it as a costume. This brand I've never seen before, and I don't know if I can even say it right. It's Visvim. This is it's a pair of jeans made in Japan. Now, Japanese selvage is extremely popular. One way to find that out is to flip the inside of the pant leg at the bottom, and if it has red stitching along the seam on the inside, that means it's typically Japanese selvage denim. Selvage denim is, I think, processed just extremely good. These are going to feel a bit stiff, and not stiff from like starch, but just stiff from the way the cotton is. I think the fibers are just tighter, like more tightly woven, and that's what creates the value in it. It's one I've never seen before. I'd spent probably 15 minutes looking it up in the thrift store, but something that you're never seen before, but you're starting to see some signs of like, okay, this definitely is expensive, but there's no recent solds. I'm not confident on it. Maybe it's worth spending 10 or 15 bucks on that item, taking it home, doing some more research, and then trying to get the most money for it. Next up, we have a jersey. This is a vintage Chicago Bulls. Tony Kukoc shooting threes. Now, he was a player on the championship Bulls team. He is, I think he might have even been like a six-man, maybe one of those like best six-man type guys. Jerseys, it is a tough category if you're not familiar with sports, if you don't have that pop culture type knowledge. Like, for example, Travis Kelce you recently got with Taylor Swift. So now if you find a Travis Kelce jersey, you're going to be able to make some more money on it. When before, even though he was a great player or is a great player and a future Hall of Famer, it's not necessarily like the best pickup. But jerseys, sports cards, that type of category, it fluctuates a lot depending on what happens in the news and what happens with that guy's career or woman's career. I knew this was going to be good because I've already picked up a champion Michael Jordan's Bulls jersey that I kept. It's in my closet right now. So when I saw the number 7 Tony Kukoc, I had a feeling it was going to be worth a lot of money. I thought it was going to be worth a little more, but it still sold for quite a bit. You got to look this stuff up because quality of jersey matters, but there's also a lot of good quality fake jerseys. So it's very difficult when you get into the jersey game because people who know jerseys, if they buy yours and find out that it's fake, you're going to get an item not as described and you'll have to refund them and you'll be, upset and not sure what happened. But that's just kind of part of the game when it comes to some of these categories. Not like the most common find, this type of jersey, but they definitely are out there. This next one is Roosevelt. Now the brand logo is the lettering. It's RSVLTS. This is Macho Man Randy Savage all over print. He's a wrestler from back in the day. I thought this was like a joke shirt, kind of one of those that's cheaply made, cheaply printed. I looked up the brand though, and I saw tons of sales. Now they typically go with pop culture type themes. They have limited runs on these shirts. So if you find one of these shirts and it is something as popular as professional wrestling, it's good to hold on to it to get the most money for it because there is going to be a cult following for this brand and for some of the pop culture references that they like to print on their shirts. This brand here, never seen it before in my life. This is a vintage, pleather 3D knit type sweater. Now, the only reason I knew this shirt was going to be valuable was because of the 3D texture on the sleeves. That's almost a dead giveaway. It has that Coogie type style to it, and it's going to be good because a lot of people like this. I mean, it has that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type look to it, in my opinion, that 80s kind of style. I have 3D knit in the title. That is a great keyword. It's called Saxony. I never find this type of stuff. Some of these brands I don't find very often. The difference between being really good at this job and just okay is being able to identify this type of stuff even when you're not really sure if it's valuable. This was $10, but it sold for a great profit. I found 2 of them on the same day, and it was in a very small town, very small thrift store, but it's just sitting there waiting to be picked up by me. So if you see anything with the 3D knits on the sleeves, definitely take a look. It doesn't even have to be a valuable brand. It can be a mid-tier to even low-tier brand, and it can still command some value. Next, we have Farm Aid. This is a vintage shirt. I wasn't sure about it because of how yellowing it was. I know farming is pretty popular, but this has something to do with Willie Nelson and I guess a campaign to help farmers or something like that. I did a little bit of research, but I quickly found that it was worth a lot of money. Anything single stitch is going to be great, but anything from this era isn't going to fit proper to the sizing that it is now. For example, this was I believe a large, but it fit closer to an extra small. So this might be a decorative item to somebody, but it can mean a lot to them if they were a part of this movement or it just, impacted their lives directly. So vintage shirts can sell for a lot. There are a lot of them that don't sell for a lot though. So it has to deal with subject matter when you're going for a vintage shirt to see how much you can get for it. This is another more obscure vintage item, kind of like the Saxony one. This is Bike. Bike is a baseball brand, maybe just an athletic wear brand. These are Coach's shorts. This was actually my wife's grandpa's shorts, and they're ridiculous. I just picture those movies that either back in the day or portrays, an 80s theme type, and they have the Coach that has the real short shorts, gym shorts. This is exactly what that is. I don't know why people wear this other than just to be different, and it's kind of fun, I guess, for people to wear vintage stuff, but this sold for a lot of money. I ended up having 4 of these, and this one sold right away. Great profit. I did not expect these to sell, and now I'm considering maybe I should keep the other one and wear it to one of my son's baseball practice or something like that. Next, we have Print On. Never seen print on before, but when I saw this rainbow striping across the front, I instantly thought of Stranger Things. It's a very popular look. It reminds me of the 70s or 80s, and this shirt sold for a ton of money. It was kind of discolored on the back, just because any shirts that is this old usually has some color fading or some type of issue to it. Found this at a Goodwill. Decided to pick it up just because of the look, and I'm really glad I did because it sold for great money. Last item here, it's not a clothing item. It's a pair of Allen Edmond New Tagged boots. Now I picked this up because I was at a Plato's Closet, and the woman behind the register, I had told her I was a reseller, and I was really impressed with their shirts. just kind of creating small talk. And then she said, well, what about these boots? I feel like these are really expensive. It's really good to let people know what you're doing out at these thrift stores and garage sales. Be very tactful with it. Don't be boisterous, or, especially if you kind of like get a good deal on some clothes from somebody's house, just kind of let them know, because they may tell their friends, their family what you do, because they just want the cash and they want the space back in their house. They don't really care about getting the most money, because not everyone is going out there and starting an eBay store or Poshmark closet or want to deal with Facebook Marketplace. That's where you come in. Be nice, be kind, find these brands in your thrift stores, find them in your towns. They're out there. Try to make some money, and I hope you got some value out of this video. Go ahead and like and comment and subscribe. I'll see you next time.